Hey, Brassfax here. This is my review of the Odin Mini from Olight. I've honestly been dreading this review because this is the internet and Nuance goes here to die. And it seems the Olight brand has become a litmus test of sort. You either hate it or love it. I was going to avoid this review, but I think like most people, I was bombarded with about 20 too many reviews that were obviously paid for by Olight from influencers that were not really reviews, and I got kind of annoyed and bought one myself. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind YouTubers trying to make money, but when you get paid to review a product and you're even given talking points, and then you do almost near zero testing and then give it a glowing review and package it as a review, that's kind of scummy. I'm not going to do my standard review because, yeah, I don't think you should buy this light. In short, the features you get with it aren't bad, and this thing won't get you killed in the streets, air quote. And some of the features are actually quite convenient, but all of them are executed kind of poorly, and this is not a heavy use flashlight. At best, this is an overpriced flashlight, and at worst, this thing will disintegrate in front of you. Let's go through this before the hordes of Olight fans try to execute me. First off, the QD mount. This is kind of the flagship of... Flagship is actually a good term here. This is the flagship of features because it lets you quick detach the light. But more importantly for me, actually, the mount is not bad at all. It's roughly the same form factor as a Arasaka mount, which is what I generally put on all my rifles, even for budget lights. So it's cool to see a budget light include something that I'd normally go out and spend $50 for. This alone could sell me on this light, but when I was checking something and I was barricading shooting it, apparently I pushed too hard on it, and the whole mount on the flashlight side of things bent a lot. So much so that the flashlight could not detach anymore without me literally taking a literal hammer and bashing it out of the thing. I tried to flatten the mount by squishing it in a press of all things, but it got a little better such that I could kind of push it in, but the whole light just wobbles like crazy It's not confident inspiring when I didn't even turn on the camera and the mount is already broken. The Olight also has this thing called Surge, or I think it's called that. That might just be the energy drink. But the advertised lumen count really only lasts about 2 minutes, which is still better than me, but that's pretty shit for a light. After the 2 minutes, it dims down to about 900 lumens, at least on the Odin Mini. Comparing it to the other lights with the Surge mode, it actually does noticeably better versus the other competitions. You can see me cycle through all of them right now. I don't have footage of when the Surge fades, but once that fades, it's actually still roughly on par with the competition, namely a Streamlight railmount Protac. And because I don't babysit my lights, generally I spend a lot of time in this mode, if not the majority of the time in this low power mode. Yeah, you can top it off pretty easy with the magnetic recharge system, but like, who keeps their rifle next to a wall with the charger plugged in? Like, the Surge thing would actually be just a wash, right? It'd be kind of neat, you get some but you lose some. But the issue is this light uses proprietary batteries. That is, it doesn't use an 18650 or a CR123. Granted, I have no problems with proprietary batteries, but you need a noticeable uptick in performance like the OKW or the mod lights, Arasaka, whatever, those which are actually borderline non-lethal weapons in terms of brightness levels. But this isn't doing that. This Odin barely manages to beat out the competition, which are using legacy battery systems. And it's on par, if not the HLX is better, which is using an 18650, which can use CR123s. So what's the point of a proprietary battery? Is it literally just for that 2 minutes of glory? I need to stop saying that. This is important beyond just proprietary batteries, because unless your light is only being used for home defense, swapping batteries is a thing that happens a lot, especially in training. And if you can't regularly just swap out with CR123s, which are so prolific, that's a major hit in my eyes. Not to sound cringe or anything, but having the ability to own 50 to 100 CR123s for like $70 for a potential lights out, boog, shit hit the fan, whatever you want to call it, scenario is also a legit factor. I can keep the lights on my rifles running for a long time. And it's not like these CR123s are only used in lights. And it's not like being rechargeable is a unique feature. I ironically have Olight CR123s of like 20 of them, so I can recharge those lights without having to spend $5 per night shoot when I'm training. Even if you theoretically got into firearms and don't have a large reserve of CR123s, and none of your friends do, these batteries aren't even like cross-compatible. Like if you buy an Odin Warrior and an Odin Mini, they can't use each other's batteries. So you have to pick one. Even the duration of the light is questionable. While the light does give out roughly at the same time as like a Streamlight railmount, which this competes with, literally the exact same time actually, it was like 3 seconds apart, it noticeably dims a lot more at the halfway point to very, very, very low levels. That means the battery can't even realistically keep up with the CR123 beyond the first 20 minutes. Yeah, alright, that's about the extent of my bitching. Some other points to consider. When the battery gets low, it literally starts complaining and vibrating, which I thought was my cell phone for about 10 minutes, but no, the battery's just getting low. So once your Tamagotchi starts complaining, just feed it new batteries or charge it, whatever. But actually, considering the light dims significantly well before this point, you shouldn't really get there. The fears of the magnetic cap ripping off are also quite prevalent, but I think they're unfounded. Just zip tie down your damn cables. And even if you did run a rat's cable of Nests, I actually tried yanking this thing off at one point, and I actually had to stop when I feared I would rip the cable before the mount would, or before the attachment point would give loose. So I don't really think this is an issue. The tape switch included is also really good compared to other cheap throwaway ones you get with like Streamlight, which actually just move in place unless you zip tie it down, which is fine, but it's always nice to have a nicer tape switch. Yeah, I know you can technically buy aftermarket tape switches for a Streamlight, but it always felt weird to me to snag a $100 tape switch and a $50 end cap for a $100 light. Yeah. Heat issues are also, I think, somewhat mitigated at this point. For those that don't know, Olights were exploding back in the day because they got too hot. I think because of the heat regulation by the downstep and lumens, that's not really an issue here. I ran this thing all out, as in I turned it on, just left it there, and it never got too hot to the point where it would be at risk of burning itself. I also run Olight rechargeables in my CR123 lights all the time, and they're all good to go, since I think this is a battery issue. So I don't think the exploding thing is nearly as big of a deal with this light. Also, because I broke the mount, I sent it in for RMA, and after juggling with Chinese RMA processes, they finally figured out what I wanted, and they just sent me a brand new light. That's the one you see at the start of the video. So, yeah, at least they take care of you, but that's not all that makes a product. I don't know. Let's wrap this up. It really feels like Olight was trying a little too hard to give their paid influencers more talking points, because this is just feature overload. Which is a shame, because this light is actually not terrible. Works fine for something like home defense, but like I said, for hard use, the mount breaking alone is a pretty big deal breaker. And then you combine it with some of the other issues I have in the lackluster performance. It's meh. Honestly, if they just made the light have the mount and just use regular CR123s or 18650s, this would be an okay light, especially with the mount at this price point. But they didn't, so it's kind of lackluster. All right, that's it for this review. Let me guys know if you've watched to this point, if you prefer more of this open-ended style of review. In the past, I usually do like a full-blown like features, opinion, all that, or do you prefer this more free, open-ended style of review? I don't know. Anyway, that's been some brass facts for you. I'll see you guys around.